Hi, I'm Pranika Massey. I am currently a grad student here at Rutgers, majoring in computer science. Prior to that, I was working at IBM as an application developer. And my areas of interest are like I'm a full stack developer with interest in AI and ML. And apart from that, I really like to swim. So I take out time to do that at Rutgers. So yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is Varun Vekaria, and I'm also a grad student here at Rutgers, uh, majoring in computer science. And my areas of interest include machine learning and especially embedding models. And my hobbies include singing. I sing a lot all the time. I may not be good, but
So basically, one day we were just, I think we were working on some project and we were just browsing different events and everything happening. And we saw this hackathon and this really like appealed to us. We were like, this is about an agentic AI and we like the concept of like the MemWatch, the company. So
yeah, and what really interested us about the hackathon was the entire concept of having a memory layer for LLMs, and we could just brainstorm about the different use cases, and we worked on the one that we felt was best required and is the need of the hour, and that eventually became a project. Our project is called Omnimind. So it is a bias neutralization agentic AI system that we have built. It is built on top of MemVerge's MemMachine memory layer. So the entire motivation behind the project was
So basically, we see that every day, like on Instagram feed, Facebook, Google, everywhere we see that what we are searching for, it just keeps, what I'm interested in, it just keeps giving me that. So the feed is always very biased. Like his feed would be different than my feed. So we just got the idea from there, so what we thought was now LLMs are also coming into play, right? So even they are recording what kind of a person I am, right? And then they'll give me a biased opinion, right? So, for example, if I really love, let's say, iPhone products and everything, so when I come back to the LLM and ask for a suggestion, let's say I ask it like, what smartphone should I buy, and this is my, this is what I want. This is what do you think? So the LLM would know that I am a person who really likes iPhone products, Apple products. So it will give me that kind of an answer. But with our integration, this neutral bias integration, what we are planning to do is that
Yeah, so what we are planning to do is give users an objective view and really give them all the options that are out there while also keeping their interests in mind. So, like she said about the iPhone product, for our product, we created a user that really likes iOS and iPhone. So, when prompted with a query that asks the system that, can you suggest me a smartphone? For the generalized version, it will only suggest you the iPhone because the user is really has a liking towards iOS. But with the bias neutralization system in play, it will suggest you iPhone as well as all other uh, phones that are out there for Android and Samsung and all other phones, along with its merits and cons. And it will also give you a comprehensive list of what factors you can consider while buying the smartphone.
so that you don't keep seeing what you are, what you're searching for. I mean, you just don't see the same thing. Basically, you get a holistic view of the entire thing. So we built this on top of MemMachine's memory layer. That is what we did. We used the profile memory. So MemMachine has like a profile memory and an episodic memory. What we used for our project was the profile memory layer. And what we did was, so basically the profile memory is continuously recording, what kind of the person is. So that
Okay.
is the thing like we liked about mem machine. Basically, and mem machine is like, it's storing the memory and everything like in profile memory and episodic memory, and it's giving the user some, some power over the memory, because we don't know what LLM is doing. Like if you're like chatting with the LLM, we don't know like where it's storing the memory. It's like a black box for us. But with mem machine, we know what the profile is storing and everything. So we are using that layer and then we've made our project. So yeah.
You can use the OpenAI's GPT model, you can use Claude, you can use um, You can also use another model, Gemini models. We have created a system that basically uses API calls to these LLMs, and also MemMachine's memory layer to work in conjunction with one another to realize the bias neutralization logic. So yeah. Yeah, so essentially, when you're using LLMs like OpenAI's GPT model, so whenever you are texting or you are like querying the model, your profile is being built by GPT on its own server, which is not visible to you. So what we are essentially doing is that using MemMachine, you are able to see your profile that, okay, the LLM has recorded that I have a bias towards Apple, I have a bias towards this thing. And you can actually see what kind of profile you are building while you are just generally chatting with the model. We have built a custom logic that will scan your profile before giving you a response, and after scanning it will see if there is a bias for something, and then it will take into account that bias, and then in your prompt to the LLM it will say that the user has a bias towards this thing, so give an objective response and not just one that is catered towards this thing. Hey, so this is a project Omnimind, and this is the interface for it. So when you open up, you get these two screens, the bias and the balance AI agents. And if you see, the bias has, like, we have just demonstrated of what the kind of responses are with this visual over here. So with the bias, you get responses that are pretty clouded, and then with the balance one, you get a worldly view. So we have created an agent, and um, we are querying with the user, and the user is basically talking about Apple products and how they really like Apple products. So we are creating a user that has a bias towards Apple products. So even with the general one, it is just hearing the query and then giving a very Apple-oriented response. However, when the user is giving a query like I really like Apple products, it gives you other ecosystem options as well, and then considerations while choosing. Eventually, we have built a user that really goes for Apple products, and then we have asked it to suggest some good laptops for school. So, because now an entire user was formed that is biased towards Apple, so the general purpose would talk about how Apple laptops are the one for you. However, if you see over here, it gives a warning sign that a bias is detected for Apple ecosystem, and then it will give you a list of options, which includes Apple laptops first because the user really does like Apple, but it states the pros and cons. It also gives me an option for Windows laptops and Chromebooks along with its pros and cons. And then it also gives me a list of considerations to make my decision. So I'm getting a objective view and a lot of options with their pros and cons. The technical overview of the system that we have built. So we have used fast APIs for the backend, and we have used Streamlit for the interface, the front end. We have used MemMachine's persistent memory layer. So within MemMachine's memory layer, we have two types of database. We have the Postgres SQL-based profile database that stores um, the user, the kind of user that is using the system. We also added another feature into the existing MemMachine's Postgres database architecture. So we have added the category that the user has a bias for. So that is something that we implemented. The MemMachine's memory layer also has another database of episodic memory, which uses a graph database called Neo4j, which serves as context during the prompt. So basically, whenever, if you see over here, whenever a query is given to the user, it runs the bias neutralization logic over the profile memory. And then um, if a certain threshold is passed and if a bias is detected, then it shows up on the front end, and then it says that because a bias is detected, you get the response. Now, the response is essentially generated be- because we are using another bias neutralization prompt, which is a different prompt than the general one, which basically says that a bias is detected this this domain. So for here, it's essentially Apple products, which comes under the hobbies and interests, and it gives um, an instruction to the LLM to create an objective view and give user a fair response and a balanced response that will not just serve one bias and will give the user like a worldly view.
So it's like a sub-product of MemMachine, I would say. Something
Yeah,
like that.
it can be like a really good add-on feature
Mhm. Like an add-on.
um to like detect the bias of a user and just give like a really good response and a balanced response. I feel um it would be great if MemMachine can actually integrate it into its own product